The morning the locusts came, Sarah Brennan was already in her field with 37 ducks waddling behind her like an ungainly parade. By noon, every farm in Harper County, Kansas, would be screaming into phones, begging extension agents for solutions they didn't have. By evening, those same farmers would be parked in Sarah's driveway, hats literally in their hands. But that was still 8 hours away. 6 months earlier, Sarah had driven to a farm dispersal sale in Ellsworth County with her pickup and a plan nobody understood. Harper County was shortgrass prairie, annual rainfall barely 20 inches, aquifer dropping 2 feet per year, soil so dry it blew across roads and dust devils that looked like 10 ghosts. It was cattle country, wheat country, country where water was religion and waste was sin. Ducks made no sense here. Lot 47, the auctioneer called. Breeding flock, mixed runners and khaki Campbells. 30 birds. Start me at $40. Sarah raised her card. 40 to number 17. Do I hear 50? Silence. Then laughter from the men near the livestock pens. Sarah's lost her mind. Someone said, loud enough to carry. What's next, penguins? More laughter. She recognized the voice, Dale Hutchins, who farmed 3,000 acres and served on the Water Conservation Board. He spoke at meetings like Moses delivering tablets. 40 going once, going twice. Those things drink like sailors, another voice called. Might as well just pump your well straight into the dirt. Sarah didn't turn around. Her mother had taught her that. Working this land when the county still thought women were best suited for auxiliary committees. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just proceed. Sold to 17. The auctioneer said, sounding apologetic. She loaded the ducks in ventilated crates. They quacked and muttered, shifting their weight as she drove the 40 miles back to Brennan Farm. Her husband Paul met her at the barn, arms crossed. You said you were getting fence posts. Got these instead. She opened the first crate. The ducks erupted in conversation, bills going like they had urgent news to share. Paul's jaw worked. Sarah, we're barely making it as is. I needed those posts for the south pasture. We'll manage. With ducks. In the driest county in Kansas. She met his eyes. With ducks. He slept on the couch that night. Her son Marcus called from Manhattan the next day, voice tight with the particular frustration of a 26-year-old who'd escaped to mechanical engineering and couldn't understand why his mother insisted on being difficult. Mom, Dad says you bought ducks. Ducks. News travels. This isn't funny. Everyone's talking. My buddy from Harper says his dad asked if you were having some kind of breakdown. Sarah watched the flock through the kitchen window, already exploring their new enclosure, necks extended as they examined every corner with intense curiosity. The previous owner had kept them for 15 years, bred them for foraging efficiency. That meant something. I'm fine, Marcus. You can't keep doing weird stuff and expect people not to notice. After Marcus hung up, Sarah went back outside. The ducks watched her approach, alert, purposeful. She'd grown up with her mother's stories about the old ways, before industrial monoculture, when farmers kept integrated flocks, when they understood what birds could do beyond eggs. She'd been reading about insect pressure, about the cycles building in the agricultural reports, about the conditions that brought plagues. At the Farm Bureau meeting that week, Sarah asked about integrated pest management certification. The clerk, Dale Hutchins' daughter Amy, smiled with pity. You thinking about going chemical-free? Considering it. Gonna be tough in this climate. She said it gently, the way you talk to someone planning something doomed. My dad mentioned you bought ducks. That's right. He also said. Amy stopped herself. Go ahead. Nothing, Mrs. Brennan. Here's the information packet. She knew what Dale had said. The whole county knew. The diner, the co-op, the grain elevator. Everywhere she went that spring, conversations paused and resumed when she passed. She caught the looks, caught the head shakes. Paul stopped arguing after a while, retreated into something worse than anger, resigned disappointment. He worked the cattle, maintained the equipment, did everything exactly as they'd always done it. But the silence between them grew heavy as summer heat. Sarah built small ponds, 3 of them, shallow, lined, fed by a single well on a timer. Efficient systems, designed for minimum water use. The ducks patrolled her 100-acre Milo field daily, eating grasshoppers, beetles, cutworms. They fertilized as they moved. They worked with focused efficiency that looked like chaos to anyone who didn't understand. At the August water board meeting, Dale Hutchins stood during open comment. "I propose we implement stricter guidelines on water usage," he said. "Some folks are using resources for non-essential purposes." He didn't look at Sarah, which meant everyone else did. "Important to be responsible," someone agreed. "Some people treat water like it's unlimited." Paul drove home alone that night. Sarah had taken her own truck. By September, the ducks had decimated the insect population in her field. Sarah walked the milo, examining the healthy stalks, the full seed heads. The crop looked better than it had in 5 years. "Coming in decent," Paul admitted. "Just that. Nothing more." The rest of the county looked at their own fields, showing typical pest damage, typical losses, and looked at Sarah's, and the jokes at the co-op got sharper. "Maybe she's got magic ducks," someone said. "Maybe they're government drones." They laughed, but they watched her. When the locust came in early March, riding warm winds from the southwest, everything changed. The first reports came from the southern counties on a Tuesday: Barber, Comanche, then Clark. "Swarms," the agricultural hotline said. "Significant grasshopper concentration. Monitor your fields." By Wednesday, Harper County Extension Agent Jim Morrison was using different words. "Biblical," he said at the emergency meeting in the high school gym. "I've been doing this job 32 years. Never seen anything like it." The Rocky Mountain locusts came in waves that Thursday morning, clouds of them that cast shadows on the ground. They hit the winter wheat first, the early green shoots that farmers had been nursing through a dry spring. Sarah stood in her yard and watched them darken the sky to the south. Her ducks noticed before she did. Heads up, alert, that particular intensity they got when prey presented itself. The locusts reached her property line by noon. The ducks went to work. What happened next looked like orchestrated chaos. 37 ducks moving through Sarah's field in practiced formation, bills snapping, gullets working. They'd been training for this their entire lives without knowing it. All those months of eating grasshoppers, beetles, anything that moved wrong in the crops. This was just more of the same, except now the prey came to them in convenient abundance. Sarah watched from the fence. The locusts settled on her neighbor's wheat across the road, Dale Hutchins' northern 40 acres. Within an hour, you could see the damage from a quarter-mile away, the green going to brown as the insects stripped everything. Her own fields, where the ducks patrolled. The locusts landed, tried to feed, and became duck food before they could do significant damage. Paul came out and stood beside her. Didn't say anything, just watched. The phone started ringing before sunset. "Sarah, it's Rick Palmer. You got a minute?" Rick farmed adjacent to her eastern property. His voice sounded hollow. "I'm looking at maybe total loss. The wheat's just gone. I was wondering, those ducks of yours. Ducks can't save a crop that's already eaten, Rick." "I know. He stopped. I laughed. "At the sale. I'm sorry. Come by Saturday. Early. We'll talk about next season." "There might not be a next season for me." "Come anyway." The locusts stayed for 11 days. The county watched its spring wheat disappear, watched the insects settle in dense carpets that devoured everything green. Crop insurance adjusters worked overtime. The television news came from Wichita, filmed devastated fields, interviewed farmers who used words like ruined and catastrophic. Sarah's 100 acres stood mostly intact. The ducks couldn't protect everything. The far corners took some damage, but 90% of her crop survived. In a county facing 70% average losses, her field looked like divine intervention. Jim Morrison came by on day 9, walked her property line with a notebook and measuring tape. "I need to document this," he said. "For the report." "Document what?" "That integrated pest management actually works. That someone in this county was prepared." "I wasn't prepared. I just listened to what the old-timers knew." "Your mother kept ducks?" "My grandmother. Depression era. She said they saved the farm in '34 when the grasshoppers came. Nobody believed her stories." Sarah watched her flock demolishing another wave of locusts. "I believed her." Jim made notes, took photos, measured the crop damage versus the neighboring fields. When he left, he shook her hand. "I'm sorry," he said, "for not taking you seriously. You weren't alone." By day 12, the locusts had moved on, continuing their northeastern migration. They left behind devastation that would cost Harper County $17 million in crop losses, that would force 12 farms into bankruptcy, that would make national news as part of a larger plight affecting 7 states. Sarah's farm made the news too, but for different reasons. The article appeared in the High Plains Journal first. Duck flock provides natural defense against locust swarm. Then the Wichita Eagle. Then the Kansas City Star. Within a week, Sarah had 43 farmers calling for advice. Paul sat at the kitchen table, listening to Sarah's scheduled consultations, his expression unreadable. "You knew," he said when she hung up. "I suspected. The conditions were right. The cycles lined up. And you didn't say anything. Who would have listened?" He absorbed that. "I would have. If you'd pushed. Maybe. But you needed to see it." The first visitors came that Saturday. Rick Palmer and his son, notebooks in hand. Then Martha Chun from 2 sections over. Then, on Sunday afternoon, Dale Hutchins. Dale stood in her driveway holding his hat, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. "Sarah, I owe you an apology." She was filling water troughs. "You owe yourself honesty, Dale." "I'm fine. I lost 60% of my wheat. Maybe more when the final count comes in. I'm sorry. I mocked you. Called you irresponsible at the water board. Said you were wasting resources. You did. I was wrong. I'd like to learn, if you're willing to teach." She studied him, saw genuine humility, the kind that comes when a man's certainty gets stripped away by reality. "Come back Tuesday morning. Early. Bring something to take notes with." "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This isn't a quick fix. It's years of building systems. I've got time. Or I need to make time. One or the other." After he left, Paul came out to the bar. "You're enjoying this." "Enjoying what?" "Being right. After everyone said you were crazy." Sarah looked at him. "I'm not enjoying what it cost them to learn. But I'm satisfied that the truth came out." "What's the difference?" "One's about them. One's about the work." She handed him a bucket. "Help me feed." They worked together as the sun dropped toward the horizon, the ducks clustering around them, quacking their satisfaction. Tomorrow there'd be more visitors. More questions. The University Extension Service had already called about a research partnership. But tonight, Sarah and Paul fed the birds, checked the ponds, walked the field where the Milo was already recovering from the minimal damage. The land would provide. The old ways, given a chance, would prove they'd never stopped being relevant. The ducks settled in for the evening, small conversations carrying across the farmyard. Sarah locked up the barn, her calloused hands sure on the latch. The vindication wasn't in the apologies. It was in the crop still standing, in the knowledge flowing forward, in being devastatingly, completely right when it mattered most. The article appeared in May, 2 months after the locusts. Integrated waterfowl management shows resilience against insect plague, a Kansas success story. The University Extension Service had been thorough: crop loss comparisons, cost-benefit analysis, ecological impact assessments. Sarah's photo was small, bottom corner, but her methods filled 6 pages. The phone rang before dawn. "It's a producer from CBS Sunday Morning," Paul said, holding out the phone. "They want to do a segment." Sarah was checking eggs, surrounded by the growing flock. She'd bred them over spring, now had 53 ducks in various stages of growth. They pressed around her boots, curious and trusting. "Tell them no." "Sarah, I'm not a story. I'm a farmer." He smiled. "You're both. Then they can film me farming. But I'm not sitting for some interview where they make it sound like I invented ducks." The segment aired in June, 5 minutes of footage showing Sarah's operation, the healthy fields, the ducks at work. The narrator used words like innovative and sustainable. Sarah turned it off halfway through. "They made it sound complicated," she said. "It's just farming." Marcus called from Manhattan. "Mom, you're on national television." "Apparently. My friends are asking for autographs." "Tell them I charge." He laughed. "I'm proud of you. For what it's worth. It's worth something." By July, Sarah had a waiting list of 64 farmers wanting consultations. She hired Marcus. Her son quit his engineering job, came home, started managing what was becoming a regional agricultural demonstration project. "Mom, we need to formalize this," Marcus said, working through the schedule at the kitchen table. "You could do workshops. Maybe partner with the university." "No partnerships. We'll do farm visits. One-on-one. That's what people need." The first formal workshop happened in August. 37 farmers from 4 states, standing in Sarah's field while she explained water-efficient pond systems, showed them the rotation schedules, let them see the ducks in action. They took notes like their livelihoods depended on it. Because they did. A woman from Oklahoma cried when she saw the insect damage on the test plot versus the protected area. "I lost everything last spring," she said. My whole wheat crop. If I'd known. You know now, Sarah said. That's what matters. Dale Hutchins attended, sat in front, asked technical questions, stayed after to help clean up. I'm converting 200 acres this fall, he told Sarah. Bought ducks from a breeder in Missouri. Good foraging stock. Talked to the Ellsworth County seller. She's got some of my original bloodline now. You'd help me source birds? After I tried to get your water usage restricted? After you were human, you mean? Everyone gets a second chance, Dale. Even you. He laughed, surprised. When you get a sense of humor? Always had one. You just weren't in on the joke. The fall brought another dry season. Precipitation 40% below normal. The county held its breath. But Sarah's fields, and now the fields of the 19 farmers who'd implemented her methods in time, showed resilient insect management and healthy soil biology. The ducks worked. The systems held. The old ways, given a chance, proved they'd never stopped being relevant. The harvest in October was a community event. Neighbors came to help, to watch, to learn. Paul ran the combine, while Marcus documented everything for the farmers who couldn't make it. The ducks supervised from the pond, veterans now, wise in their animal way. 42 bushels per acre on the Milo, in a year when the regional average was 28. That evening, the county commissioner came by, a politician's smile fixed on his face. Mrs. Brennan, we'd like to honor you at the state fair. Maybe have you speak at the agricultural summit in Topeka. Sarah was washing her hands at the outdoor spigot, the water precious and clean. That's kind, but I'll pass. It would mean a lot. You've put Harper County on the agricultural innovation map. The ducks put Harper County on the map. I just listened to what my grandmother knew and everyone else forgot. He left looking confused. Paul brought out 2 beers, and they sat on the porch as the sun dropped toward the western horizon, painting the sky orange and purple. You could have taken the recognition, he said. Don't need recognition. You proved the whole county wrong. That's worth celebrating. She looked at him. I didn't do it to prove anyone wrong. I did it because it was right. I know. That's why it matters. The ducks called from the pond, settling in. Across the section line, Rick Palmer's new flock answered. He bought 20 birds in June, was already seeing changes in his pest pressure. 2 farms over, Martha Chun had integrated ducks with her wheat operation. The change was spreading, not because Sarah had preached or promoted, but because she'd simply done the work and let the results speak. Marcus came out carrying his tablet. Mom, there's an email from the USDA. They want to feature you in a climate resilience program. What's it pay? It's an honor. Does it pay? Well, no, but then no. I've got paying clients who need help. Marcus shook his head, but he was smiling. You're impossible. I'm practical. That night, after Marcus went back to his apartment above the barn, after Paul kissed Sarah goodnight with the comfortable affection of 29 years of marriage, Sarah walked out to check the birds one last time. They murmured when she approached, soft sounds of recognition. She ran her hand along the fence, felt the good tension of properly maintained wire. The soil under her boots was alive. She could feel it even in the dark, the way it gave and supported, the way healthy ground held its integrity. Her grandmother used to say that farming wasn't about controlling nature. It was about working with it, listening to it, letting it show you what it needed. For 15 years, the previous owner had listened. Now Sarah listened. And slowly, one farm at a time, others were learning to listen too. The vindication wasn't in the articles or the awards she'd refused. It wasn't in the apologies or the sudden respect from men who'd dismissed her. It was in the crops still standing when others failed, in the ducks thriving and multiplying, in the old knowledge flowing forward into new hands, in the soil that held together when the plagues came. Sarah Brennan walked back to the house, her calloused hands swinging at her sides, her face weathered by sun and wind, and the quiet satisfaction of being devastatingly, completely right. The ducks called good night behind her. Tomorrow, 5 more farmers were coming to learn. The work continued. The land provided. And Sarah, as always, would be there at dawn, proceeding forward with the steady confidence of someone who'd never needed validation, just time for the truth to hatch.